Hello students. So today we are going to start with our standard 6th subject science, that is lesson number 14, light and the formation of shadows. So students, as our topic itself says lights and shadows. So basically this lesson is about how light is being seen and how with the help of lights formation of shadows. You all know what shadows are. So how these shadows are formed with the help of light, that we are going to learn in this particular chapter. So by this introduction, you at least come to know that this whole chapter is all about light and how it helps into the formation of shadow. So in this lesson we are going to learn different concepts of light first, and then how the concepts help in the formation of shadows. So students, moving with the very first part is, here on your screen you are seeing many objects or materials. All these objects or materials emit light, that is, it produces light, meaning those which themselves are a source of light. Now students, there are some objects which produce the light by their own, they don't need any other source of light. They get their own light, they have their own light, and such objects are called as luminous object or material. Now student, the intensity of light, that how the light will be the bright or dim or anything, is determined by the extent to which the objects emit light. For example, the light emitted by an electric torch is more intense than the obtained from candle. Correct? If you see a candle light and once you use the torch will be more effective. Correct? Now students, same way there are some objects or materials that are not sources of light themselves. They produce light but they don't have any sources of light. For example, torch, they emit light but they don't have light inside them. So such sources are themselves called as non-luminous objects or materials. And students, there are some man-made objects or materials which also emit light. These are called as artificial sources of light. The sun is the main natural source of light. Other stars seen in the night sky, fireflies, some anglerfish, as well as honey mushroom are also natural sources of light. Understood students, which are natural sources of light and which are artificial and which are non-luminous. Okay. Now moving to the next topic, we are having the propagation of light. So propagation of light means the spreading of light, the how much it spreads and how it spreads, that we are going to know. So students, you may have seen in the afternoon when rays of light entering through a slit in a door, when your door is little bit open, there is a slight gap between the door, so from that part the light enters into your house. So you see that light is entering through into your house through that slit. Now as these rays of light from the slit or the hole move towards the floor, you can see that there are dust particles in the way, are seen very clearly. Correct? There is dust also in that particular light. So due to these particles, the path of the light becomes visible. We can understand from where the light is coming, and the direction of the light is also visible, and we can see that their path is along a straight line. Almost it is in a straight line. Now how you can see this is, there is one experiment they have shown. What you have to do is take 3 cardboards. Now make a small hole in the center of each cardboard using a thick needle. Now arrange these cardboards in such a way that the 3 holes are in the same line as shown in this figure on your screen. Correct? Stand a burning candle on one side of the cardboard. or you can use a torch also, that is also okay. Now look at the flame of the candle or the torch from the other side. What you will see, how it is traveling. It is traveling in a straight line. Understood? So also you can do one more experiment, that is you have to take a straight tube that can be bent easily. Now what will happen, at the one end you have to put a candle on a stand and look at it through the tube. Then bend the tube and look at the candle again. What will you see? That if your tube is straight, you can see the flame of the candle. But if you bend the tube, then what will happen? The flame of the candle will not to be seen. Again, in this particular thing, you will understand that light travels in a straight line. And this is called the linear propagation of, dear students. Understood? Now next we are having reflection of light. So now moving to this topic, reflection, that is a reflection of light, how it is being done. How do we see an object? The rays of light falling on an object from a source of light are thrown back from the surface of that object. This is called the reflection of light. You can see in this image that if you want to see a sunflower, what happens? The source of light, which is the source of light? The sun. The sun is the source of light which is falling on this flower, that is the object, and the light which has fall on this object reflects towards the viewer's eyes, which is how the light helps us to see an object. We see the object when the reflected rays reach our eyes. Students, do you know that stars are luminous? They have their own light. Planets, satellites, these are non-luminous. They don't have their own light. This we have studied in our initial classes, correct? Now, sunlight reflected from the surface of the moon reaches us. How? That is how we can see the moon. We call this light as moonlight. Students, when you see your face in a mirror, the light reflected from your face falls on the mirror and gets reflected back again. That is why you see the image in the mirror. Now, do you see your image in a glass pane? Glass pane is what? Basically, your window's glass is the glass pane. You do, although it is not very clear. The image which you are seeing of yourself in that glass or in that mirror is not always clear. It is little faint. It is little blur. No image will be seen at all on a wooden surface. Okay, you may have seen your image formed in surfaces such as new steel dish, the utensils which you are having, in that you can see your images. Then the glassy granite cladding of a wall, the tiles, basically it is called as tiles. You can see your image in that tiles too. And the still water in a lake, you can also see your reflection into the water, correct? So you have to make such list of similar surfaces in which you can see your images. Understood? Now students, moving to the next topic, images in a plane mirror. Now what you have to do is you have to stand in front of a plane mirror and look at your image in it. Now what you have to do is, first you have to raise your right hand. Which hand of the mirror image is raised? Now second you have to do is, what change do you see in the image if you decrease or increase your distance from the mirror? If you're standing very close, how your image is looking. If you're standing very far, how your image is looking. Third, is there any difference between your height and the height of the mirror image? You have to see that. Okay, now the left and right sides of the original object appear to be exchanged in the mirror. That is why when you raise your right hand, you will see that your left hand is being raised in the mirror. Also students, the image is as far behind the mirror as the object is in front of it. If you are standing far from the image, what will happen? It will look that you are very far, and if you are standing very close, it will be zoom out. Okay, the size of the image is the same as that of the object. The height is the same, which is your original height. Okay, so
half we are going to know about shadows. So first is the pinhole camera. So students, here in the image, what actually it is, that you have to take an empty cylindrical box. Now remove its cap on one side, and at the other cap light a candle and hold the box in such a way that the flame of the candle is in front of the hole. Now what you will see students, that an upside down, or you can say inverted image of the flame on the thin paper at the other end is seen. So students, what difference do we notice on looking through the windows in the picture? What causes the difference? The picture shows transparent, opaque, translucent window panes. How? Depending on the nature of window pane, we may or may not see the object on the other side through it. How? We from this we can identify transparent. Transparent means such window or such objects through which you can see both sides. Okay? Opaque is such object through which you cannot see the other side of the object. Translucent are some objects through which you can see the other side of the object, but it is little blur. For example, piece of a glass, wax paper, tinted glass, oil paper, white plastic, a tea kettle, a notebook, cloth, water, a wooden cupboard, a sheet of notebook. From all these things you can identify which is transparent, which is opaque, or which is translucent objects. Okay, the material through which light passes is said to be transparent, because of which we can see the other side. The material through which light does not pass is said to be opaque, that is why we cannot see the other side. The material through which light passes partially is said to be translucent. That is why we can see the other side, but it is little blur, or you can say not clear. So students, now going towards formation of shadow. How basically the shadow is formed. So here we can try this, that you can take an electric torch. We all know what torch is, correct? Now flash its light on a wall. Now, make your friend stand in between the torch and the wall. What will happen? His or her shadow will cast on the wall. Correct? So, if an opaque object comes in the way of a light source, light does not pass through it. As a result, the light does not reach a wall or any other surface in the other side of the object. The part remains dark. This dark part is called the shadow of the object. So now also we can try this. Here you can see there are three trees, correct? And there are sun. So we can just imagine that these trees are some people. Okay, maybe your friend is a tree, and the placement of the sun is the placement of you holding the torch. What you have to say is that if you send the friend closer to the wall, how his shadow will be? His shadow will be huge. Ask your friend to come towards you. What will happen? His shadow will come more huge. If you tell your friend to move further away from him and towards him again, what will happen? His shadow will seem small. So in basically in different angles the shadow falls differently. The shadow of an object is only formed when light does not pass through the object. The kind of shadow it forms depend upon the relative distance between the sources of light, the object and the surface or the screen on which the shadow is formed. Understood? Even the shadow of an object formed due to sunlight is long in the mornings, and when you see it in the evenings, it become long, but when you see it in afternoon, it is short. We can easily note these changes if we observe the trees in the picture or also in real. Okay, this change in the shadow depends on the sources of light, the object, and also on the surface on which the shadow is formed. Now, students, moving to the next topic, in our next page we'll go towards a very popular, or I don't know if you know, but there is a sundial. What is a sundial? Basically, a sundial is an instrument which indicates the time with the help of the extent and the direction of the shadow of an object formed in sunlight. uh, Children, if you know that during earlier times or during in olden times, what people used to do, how they used to know that what time it is, they did not have any watch. So time was measured by placing a stick parallel to the axis of the earth, and its shadow was being noticed. So by noting the position of its shadow on the dial at different times of day, that is basically the sundial. So the largest sundial is at Jantar Mantar, which is placed in New Delhi. Okay, students, now there was also a research work which was presented by this Indian scientist. His name is Sir C.V. Raman. Now, what he researched about is regarding the scattering of lights. Even now, it is known as the Raman effect. Okay, so he discovered this effect on 28th February 1928. So to commemorate, or you can say to celebrate this event, 28th February is celebrated as National Science Day. Understood? Now in few days 28th February is going to come, so we all will celebrate the National Science Day. Okay, students, in India it is mainly celebrated, not in nation, not worldwide. Okay, now moving to the next is in the past. Students, as we heard about Sir C.V. Raman, there was also a very famous British scientist. You must all have heard about him. His name is Sir Isaac Newton, correct? So this Sir Isaac Newton made a special disc. Now, what special disc is it was that one side of the disc was divided equally into 7 petals, or you can say 7 parts of the 7 colors you can see in the image, correct? Now, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. These are the 7 colors. So the disc was fitted on a stand and then rotated fast, very fast. Okay. So now, as the disc rotated and these 7 colors, which you can see now, got disappeared and only white was seen. So, through this, he proved that sunlight is made of 7 colors. That is why the disc is known as Newton's disc. Newton also wrote a book called Optics, and this was all about light. Okay, it was based on light. Okay, students, so here we finished with the whole lesson. I hope it was very simple and you all understood it very well, that how the light is made, how it is propagated, and how with the help of light and the objects the shadows are placed. Also, we came to know about the great two scientists, that is Dr. C.V. Raman and British scientist Sir Isaac Newton. So students, we'll meet in our next class with next lesson. Till then, thank you.